Hey, Wendy, how are you today?
Hi, Nick. I'm great. How are you? Good to see
Good,
you.
good, good. It's so exciting just to get together with you in this way and allow you that opportunity to share some of your experience of being coached by me with people that are considering coming into our program and being coached by me. So thank you so much. Obviously, it means a great deal, first of all, just for your time and then just all the gold nuggets you might share with us and things like that. So thank you very much. And if you are ready, we'll jump in.
Let's do it.
So when you think back to before you were ready to be coached in that and go into a program, what were some things you were struggling with that ultimately kind of led you to say, "Yeah, I want to do this. This is something I need. I see value in this." So just kind of talk about that for us.
Yeah, sure. So I had a number of long-term rentals that I own, and I was looking for something that would provide me a little bit more active income, a little bit more monthly positive cash flow than just $300 a month, $300 a month.
Right.
Offset by, plumbing problems. And so, and I live in California where it's very expensive to buy new properties. And so this whole arbitrage model was something I'd kind of seen on the sidelines before and was very interested in, but was concerned about just jumping in, really not understanding that market. And there was a lot of information and confusing information, good and bad. And do I do Airbnb? Do I do short term? Do I do this midterm thing? Like, is
Yep.
this something that's really going to work for me? And so I'd spent a lot of hours researching it, but wasn't really ready to take the leap because there were just so many little details. How am I going to handle insurance? How am I going to handle leases? How am I going to deal with tenants? And where do I find these tenants? And those were all things that really led me to say, look, it's time to kind of bite the bullet and get coaching from somebody that's been down this path, that knows what they're doing, and that can add value to me in that way.
Yeah. So for somebody who already owns real estate, investment properties, and they're in a situation where they are currently putting in long-term clients, signing a one-year contract and then hoping that they renew if they're good clients. And then you compare that to either short-term or mid-term. Cash flow wise, I think you said it's like a couple $100 or a few $100, which is not much cash flow per month. And as
Right.
you mentioned, sometimes a maintenance thing comes up and then that cash flow for that month is gone because
Yeah.
that's kind of the minimum that it costs to have a technician come out or something. So then when you transition to either short term or long term, your cash flow does jump up quite a bit. But then when we think about the short term, a lot of areas, and your area being one of them, has a lot of regulations on short term. So yeah, midterm made good sense for you, with clients staying a month or longer, and typically, oftentimes 2 to 4 months would be an average. But I mean, you've seen other people that I've coached in our Zoom calls. There was one lady who had a 13-month booking, and
Right.
6 months is pretty common as well. So it is a huge difference, not just in cash flow, but in the small amount that you really have to do, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, long-term rentals can be sort of hands-off depending on whether or not you've got a property manager, but your monthly income, especially if you're just getting started, and I've had these properties for 3 or 4 years, and so I have the benefit of low interest rates and all the things on them. But still, even with that, and you're gaining equity, but even with that, I'm maybe making two, three, $400 a month if I'm lucky.
Right.
And I mean, one plumbing problem
Yeah.
negates all of that. So that was really one of the reasons I wanted to look at this model, look at the arbitrage model, and also look at the midterm rental market model. And you're right. So as opposed to renting something out for $4,000 a month, you can rent it out for $6,000 or $8,000 a month, and that cash flow that comes from that after all of your expenses, which maybe are another maximum, I budget around $500 a month just to
Right.
be safe. So if
Yep.
you're paying $4,500, you're bringing in an average of, 7 or 8,000, and that really makes a big difference.
Yeah. And then when those things do pop up, like those maintenance things that are maybe a few $100s and up, when those do happen because it's arbitrage, that means you or your company is renting that from the landlord. So those problems become the problem of the landlord financially,
Yeah,
right?
I had one of those exact situations this year. We had a drain problem in the kitchen in one of my most successful properties. And initially, I called out the plumber. He came in and he said, "Oh, we think it's deeper. It's going to cost a lot of money." So
Mhm.
immediately, I was on the horn with the landlord and got him involved. And it was like a $15,000 project that was
Yeah.
going to take some time. And the way we worked it, I was very lucky. The tenant was about to move in that day, and I said, all I had to really do was offer her a bit of a discount to move in and say, "Look, your kitchen floor is going to be torn up for a couple of days, and it's going to
Yeah.
take a little bit of energy and maybe a little bit of patience." And I brought them over some silverware and gave them a couple little a basket of goodies to munch on to make them happy. And the plumber came in, they did their work. It was literally $15,000-$20,000 that was not out of my pocket, and I was
Yeah.
able to still
Mm.
keep the place rented and a happy tenant and guest for that time frame. And it was really no skin off my back.
Well, great job. I mean, hospitality wise, you said, "Hey, you know what? If I were in this situation, what could somebody do nice to me?" And you went and did it to them. Great
Yeah.
job. You know. All right, let's switch gears. So now let's talk about me as a coach.
Okay.
So what are some things that comes to your mind when I was actively coaching you? What are some things that value that I brought, or ways that I helped you, or how I clarified things, or whatever? Just me as a coach. Let's just talk about that.
Yeah, sure. So you are active in the community, you're active in the world, you have existing properties. And so you understand that this market is changing and shifting every day, and the nuances that are happening and the way that we as owners or of our businesses need to pivot and shift with it. And I think that's super critical for anybody doing business today, because the MTR space is continuing to change and it's not going away, but it requires that we stay on top of the things. You're very knowledgeable. You've been doing it for several years, so you understand all the different players in the market, the insurance companies, the avatars, and the target markets that we can go after. Those are some of the real ones that stand out to me. And then you have all the processes in place and all the materials that you're able to share with us that say, "Okay, boom, you want to do a lease outside of Airbnb? Here's how you do it. You need
Right.
to sign a lease that has an arbitrage potential in it. Well, boom, here's a couple of sentences that we've already vetted with our lawyers that you can use. Oh, you want to do multiple properties? You might consider using Hospitable or Hostway or Price Labs or whatever. You understand what's happening and can bring that value to bear."
Yeah, great. Thank you so much. Yeah. Um, so let's now talk about when you have a midterm client in one of your houses and they're there for X amount of months. How much wear and tear does that take on you? How much time does that take out of you? How much money does it take out of your pocket to make it happen, if any?
Once you've got a midterm rental property tenant or guest in place, it is fairly seamless and not a lot of work on your part. You might get a call from them saying that there's a maintenance issue. Well, you would anyway if you were managing it any other
Okay.
way, so that's not unusual. You might get a call saying, "Hey, my mom is sick, and maybe could you bring a television to put in the bedroom?" "No problem. It'll be there tomorrow," kind of thing.
Exactly.
But other than that, it's a very low maintenance requirement. And all you have to do is just follow up and see, are they going to move out when they said they're going to move out? Do they need to renew? I'm happy to renew, but boy, I've got
Yes.
some other people knocking on the door here. So let
Mhm.
me know, give me those 15 days or 30 days notice before you're going to move out. And so it is easy money during that time frame for sure.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. How about, and of course, I know a lot of your story, but I have to word this in a way for the people looking and are listening, So, what pops in your head as far as some great successes you've had, or, a long booking, or a nice cash flow per month, or super low maintenance tenant? Like, what are some things that stand out, like accomplishments or success, or just, wow, that was easy? Anything like that?
Well, I spent a lot of time over the Christmas holiday last year getting myself up and running. My foyer was filled with boxes, and it was my first property. And I literally was working night and day to try to get it all filled up and everything that I needed in there. And I was, shipping things to myself and then running over there, and I was panicked. And it was like December 27th at midnight, and I'm on the Airbnb platform and I'm setting it up, and then I'm setting it up on Furnish Finder, and then I'm setting it up on ALE. And I was like sweating it out and just so nervous and so nervous. And the next day I went to I went to the Queen Mary with my nephew to celebrate, whatever, it was Christmas time. And I'm standing in line about ready to get a tour, and my phone rings, and it was the temporary housing directory, literally like 5 hours after I had just set it up on Furnished Finder. And they're
Wow.
like, we need someone, we need it right away. Do you have availability? And I was like, oh, yes, as a matter of fact, I do. I
Merry
can help you right
Christmas.
away. And that happened, and that tenant stayed for 4 months in my first property. And so that alone just gave me the confidence that this was a model that will work, and allowed me to kind of take the next step and move to my next one quicker than before. And when you look at the model, it's the more that you scale, and the faster you scale, the more successful you can be,
Hmm.
because you can bring in incremental, profits every month to kind of offset your initial investment. So,
Absolutely.
yeah, that initial success was really something that helped me kickstart myself and my confidence.
I love it. I love it. Yeah. And you've been so great to work with. You're always so free with information that you've learned, sharing with other people in the course and stuff. And I love that. I appreciate it. I want to say thank you. Now, when we think about right before you were in the, ready to be coached in that, you made the decision. What was something that almost prevented you from taking the step and actually saying, "Yep, I want to be coached on how to do midterm rental, on how to do corporate housing, on how to do arbitrage"? Something that almost prevented you from doing that. What would you say?
Well, I'm a numbers person, and I'm a lifelong learner, as you just stated. And so I really, really want to do my due diligence before I move into any new project, because let's be honest, I've made some, questionable decisions in along my financial lines, and I'm struggling for it in some of my long-term rentals and some properties I own in places that I own. And you just, especially if you're just on your own doing this, you want to make sure that you have the bandwidth to do it, and that you, personally, financially, psychologically, emotionally, whatever. But I think what was stopping me is I wanted to make sure that this was an ROI model that was going to make
Hmm.
sense. And
Yep.
so I really needed to look at the numbers and say, okay, and plot it out on kind of an Excel spreadsheet. If I invest $5,000 a month in a house, how long is it going to take me to reach a positive ROI?
Yeah, and
And
that's different for everybody around the United States based on the cost of living. How much does it cost to rent? How much are utilities there? So it's a little
yeah,
different for everybody. And you're in one of the most expensive markets in the entire United States. But
true.
you've been able to see some great success. So
Yeah.
um, now, how about let's say that you had the opportunity to talk with somebody who has learned about my course and is considering coming in, but they're just not sure. So, what is something that you might say? Because obviously you know a lot more. And so, what is something you might say to somebody who's kind of on the fence or not sure whether to do it and get some coaching on this or not?
Well, if they're serious about making a shift and moving into this space, it's, I think, a very valuable investment to take this step and to work with someone like yourself, or to work
Mm.
with you, because it really not only does it hold your feet to the fire to say, okay, I've put my money where my mouth is, but it
Yes.
also gives you the tools and the step up to just get it done faster, and to, you don't have to make all these mistakes on your own, all the learnings, all the questions that you have. I still have questions a year and a half later, and I luckily have got the community of friends and colleagues that I've met through working with you, that have allowed me to kind of just question things that didn't happen before to me. Like, oh my gosh, I just had a faucet leak. What do I do? Or, oh my gosh, this company wants to go off the Airbnb marketplace. I don't know what to do. Like,
Hmm.
we learn in a just in time fashion. And so you're going to soak up a little bit of information, but you want to be able to come back later and say, I didn't have this problem before, but I do now. And who
Yep.
can I talk to? So
Yeah.
having a course like yours, and a coach is invaluable to that
Yeah.
process.
A lot of people want to know everything before they'll even take a step, but really that's not always the best
No.
way, especially when you have the opportunity to come into a course, to be coached, be surrounded by other people. You can ask questions as you're going and prevent fires or put out fires immediately, because you have tools in your tool belt, or the people in
Yeah.
the network, because you have the live Zoom coaching and things like that. So Yeah, absolutely. Wendy, again, thank you so much. This has been absolutely wonderful. Thank you for everything you shared from, your life, from your time, being coached and working with me in that. Thank you so much for your time. And of course, continue to wish you the best, and continue that you really keep excelling and just going to the next level.
Well, thanks, Nick. It's been great talking with you.
You too. Take care.
Take care.